People in Wisconsin have a lot to gripe about, from telemarketing calls to landlord problems. The top 10 list of consumer complaints was just released this morning, and it shows that the fastest growing complaint is also the fastest growing crime: identity theft. Sandy Chalmers from the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection is here to explain that list. Good morning.
Good morning, Rachel.
Okay, so we have how many complaints were made over the year?
About 10,000 formal complaints, but we get tens of thousands more calls and inquiries from people who want to know, hey, this is what happened to me. Is this a scam? So that's another way we can help people prevent fraud and deception before it happens.
But when you're hearing from people and then you look into it, you might find something that you weren't aware of beforehand. Let's start at number 10 and we'll work up to number 1. And the top 10 complaint is shared. There's 2 right in the list, and it is dentistry and then contests, sweepstakes, and prize promotions. We hear about that second one all the time, the sweepstakes and the prize promotions. What is dentistry? What happened there?
Dentistry may look surprising to people, but that relates to a company in Green Bay and Appleton that went out of business last January, holding people's deposits on dental appliances. So that has been resolved. So that's very, very unusual to see that in the top 10.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. So it wasn't a specific.
It was a specific company.
It was a specific
All Care
place.
Dental.
Okay, yeah. All right. And moving on to number 9, satellite dish.
Satellite dish, people sign those contracts not realizing that they're a multi-year contract, and at some point they decide they're not really happy with the service they're getting. They want out, only to find that they have to pay a hefty cancellation fee. So whenever you sign an agreement like that, make sure you understand the details and the services you will receive before you sign.
Before you sign. Motor vehicle repair comes in at number 8.
Motor vehicle repair is a perennial just because people have so much on the line, but we do mediate between consumers and repair shops when there are disputes.
Okay.
In billing.
Furniture and home furnishings.
Home furnishings, we had another company that went out of business in Wisconsin called Furniture Deals and Steals. Had stores around the state, and it affected many, many consumers. So that's another one that typically is not in the top 10, but it relates to a specific company.
Okay, motor vehicle sales.
Motor vehicle sales, more and more people are trying to sell their cars on Craigslist or eBay and going there to buy. Be very, very cautious when you do that.
Is that because they're not regulated, or what happens?
Well, it's quick and easy,
okay.
And cheap, relatively cheap. But make sure that you have actually seen the car before you put money down.
Okay, let's talk about number 5, gasoline pump accuracy. We've talked about that in the past before, but identity theft is quickly rising.
Right. Gas pump accuracy goes back to when gas was about $4 a gallon, and people were calling, questioning the prices that we're registering at the pump. So that's where that comes from. Identity theft really is a serious and pervasive crime across the country. It's been around for a long, long time. But with today's technologies, there are just more and more ways for criminals to access your personal information. So really take steps to protect your personal information, like your credit card numbers, your social security numbers. If anyone you don't know asks you for that information, do not provide that.
That is scary. Home improvement and landlord-tenant problems were 4 and 3.
Home improvement, again, there's a lot of money on the line typically. We recommend that anything that you agree to between the consumer and the builder be put in writing and signed by both parties, so there's no misunderstanding about what's to be done.
Makes sense, definitely. Telecommunications and telemarketing calls, number 2 and number 1. Is that a growing problem? Is it getting better, the telemarketing calls?
Well, telemarketing complaints have been at the top of the top 10 list for a long, long time. And those scams tend to shift over time. What we're seeing now is an increase in these automated, pre-recorded calls.
What do you call them?
They're robocalls. Many of them are from somebody who claims to be Rachel. I'm hoping that's not you.
Did you know that? They were surprised that I didn't know that, but I have not gotten a call from Rachel. I get robocalls,
That's good.
but maybe they know they're calling a Rachel and they don't want to.
That could be.
So it's somebody saying they're Rachel.
Those pre-recorded calls are illegal, and most are fraudulent. And what they're pitching most often is a lower credit card interest rate. If you press a number to call or to talk to somebody live, they'll take you through some steps, but eventually they'll ask you for your credit card number. Do not provide that number.
And should you hang up, because if you press a number, it says that your number is an active phone number?
The best thing to do is to hang up.
Okay.
One point I want to make is that pre-recorded political calls are legal in
So don't
Wisconsin.
call your office about those.
Yeah,
okay.
and there's a lot of confusion about that. But pre-recorded solicitations are almost always illegal and almost always fraudulent. So if you get one, just hang up.
All right, great information. And if people want to make a formal complaint, they can do so by through a website or a phone number. And what happens when they do make a formal complaint?
Those complaints are first mediated. We try to work something out with the business you're complaining against. If we believe that violations of consumer law have occurred, we investigate the complaint and also quite often take it to an enforcement action where a business or criminal in some cases is fined and may even face some jail time.
All right, it's good to know that you're there to help us in the fight when we have problems. Thank you so much, Sandy, for stopping by, and we'll put all that information on our website, fox11online.com. Click on Good Day Wisconsin, and we'll be right back.